Everyone, thanks for tuning in to AvidMax Tying Tuesdays. My name is Brady, and today we're going to show you how to tie a Kelly Gallup pattern. This is his smoke wagon. So we're going to start this fly on the Firehole hook. This is the 839 we're using today, an awesome streamer hook from Firehole Outdoors. We're going to use some marabou. The main body of our fly will be consistent of marabou. So we'll do some gray as well as some dark olive, and you'll see how we're going to use those in just a minute. Off the back, we'll have a little bit of flashabou. This is the silver color in flashabou. And then I'm using kind of a unique chenille today. This is the flashabou chenille from Hairline. They're rainbow color. It's kind of a light rainbow color. And then we're going to use a little bit of crystal flash, also in the rainbow color. It's got some great pinks and yellows in it to kind of add an accent to this fly. The thread we're using is just a little bit of GSP 100 denier today. All right, so we got our hook set in our vise here. Again, that's that Firehole 839, and I'm just going to go ahead and start my thread right up on that hook shank and work back to where we're going to tie in our first material here. Clip out our excess GSP, which is always a little tough to cut. So we'll go back right about to where that hook bend is here. Right about there. And then prep our marabou. So the first piece of marabou, we're going to do gray. The gray is going to be the underbody of this fly, kind of give the illusion that it's a little rainbow fly, minnow, rainbow fry, or minnow pattern. So I'm just going to trim out and prep my feather here. So I'm just going to use the back end of the feather, clipped off the front end, what I don't necessarily need. And then we'll get all these fibers to kind of lay backwards and measure right about our hook shank here. We can transfer that into our other hand and go ahead and secure it right on top. So I'm going to use this marabou as a little bit of bulk for the underbody of this fly. So we'll go right up to about that halfway point there. That'll be our next main tie-in point. All right, so we got some marabou here. Got about 5 strands of the flashabou, rather, not marabou. We already did that part. But we'll just fix this right on the side of the hook shank here and secure that in place. So just a few wraps going back, and then we can use that same piece, pull it over to the far side, and wrap on back. So just mirrored on either side. We can clip out our excess here. Just like so, right about the length of the tail, maybe just a little shy. And then make sure that's all secured in where we want it. So from there we can tie in our next piece of marabou. This is going to be that dark olive, which will be the top piece. It's kind of the back of our little minnow imitation here. And same thing, we'll prep our feather, so got quite a bit of material there, so I'm just going to strip a little bit back. You can clip it off as well, like I did on that gray. Sometimes what I'll like to do is I'll pull it so that I have all the tips, and then you can kind of pull whatever extra is in there and get it out of the way. And that leaves you with some nice even tips there to use. Actually, I'm going to make this just a little bit thinner for the tail bit. Just like so. And we'll wet it just so that all those fibers play along. So I'm going to measure just slightly past where that gray one stops, and we can secure that in place. And again, we're going to use this piece just to add a little bit of bulk. Right up to that middle, clip her out, and then we can add in our chenille. So the chenille again, I'm using this as the flashabou chenille in rainbow. So we're going to strip off some of that Some of the chenille material just helps keep the bulk down. You don't end up with a big bulky piece that's, you know, aside from what you're working on your body there. So clip some of that stuff out, tie it in right on the side, just like we did everything else here. And then work up to where our next section is going to start. So we can half hitch right off in the middle here. Just like so. Throw that on our bobbin cradle, and then go ahead and palm our chenille up to that area. So nice touching wraps, just building up this underbody here. And I always leave my chenille on the card, just helps save material. If you're not trying to guess what your length's going to be, you can always leave this just hanging off. Doesn't tend to get in the way for me anyhow. One more wrap there, and we'll capture that down. Just like so, and then we can leave that hanging because we're going to come back to it in just a second. But then we're going to add a little more marabou, so the middle of our body. So same color combination. I'm going to do some gray on the bottom, and then we'll do that dark olive on top. And I've prepped my feathers in the same way here. We'll wet them just to get all those marabou fibers to splay back. And then we're going to flip this guy over, and I'm going to measure so that it goes just about to the half length of what my tail is there, so that it splits right about in the even. And then what that does is it kind of creates a tail and then a mid body when this is wet and being fished. So we're going to snag that right on the bottom here. We can go ahead and run this up to the front just like we did on the back section. And we'll leave ourselves just a little bit of room behind the eye to tie in our last pieces of marabou there. There we go, clean that up a little bit. And then go back over and we'll do the top piece now. Just the dark olive marabou in the same fashion. So just like so. And then once again, right about to that halfway point, you can measure out and use your bottom piece as a guide for you to keep things consistent. And we want that to just remain right on top here. And then we can clip out that excess. So from there we can work on up to where our last marabou stack is going to be. I'm going to clean up this body just slightly here. And half hitch that out once more. GSP I always half hitch a couple of times just because it's so slick. Likes to move around quite a bit. But then we're ready to palmer our chenille up to that point where our thread is at. Just making sure that we cover everything up here nicely. Like so. And capture it out once more. And this time we can clip it out of there. From there I'm going to tie in the bottom piece of marabou. And then we'll add a little bit of flash. Same method as before, we're going to measure out just to about that halfway point on that last section that we tied in. Make sure to keep all our tips aligned here. Let's go ahead and secure that in with just a couple of quick wraps. Clip out our excess material. Go ahead and clean that up a little bit. And then we're gonna add that crystal flash before we do our last piece of marabou. So a cool color here, the rainbow color. Got lots of blues, pinks, golds, all that good stuff in this thing. So makes for a really nice accent to this pattern. So I'm gonna run it just about the whole length of the fly. So we'll go almost all the way down to where that tail ends, maybe just down to halfway through on the tail. And we'll do the same thing we did with that flashabou on the back. We'll tie it in on one side here real quick, and then flip it over to the far side and tie it in there as well. And then we can come up, clip it off, and then give it a couple extra wraps to keep it down on the body there before we come in and add our last piece of marabou. Kind of a unique color combination we have going on here today. Traditionally it's a light olive on top with a white underneath. And then I believe Kelly Galloup also uses a piece of hackle feather, an olive hackle feather, to do the lateral lines there. So just a few different aspects here to the original. It's a great fly in a dual fly rig. It's an awesome trailer fly because it doesn't have a whole lot of weight. So if you fish it in partnership with a cone head on the front end potentially, and then trail this off of the back. And there's always a natural bend in a marabou feather, especially these blood quill ones. So if you tie it in with that arc facing downwards, then it helps this pattern out a little bit. But we'll go ahead and secure this on the top without that extra material again. And then we can clean up our head here and then give it a whip finish. And again, the GSP likes to slide around, so I'm just going to give it an extra few turns there, keep everything in place. But that's all there is to a smoke wagon. If you want, you can come back in with a pen and color the top of that thread head there as well, just to give a nice green color. Very effective fly. If you enjoyed the video today, make sure to give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see us tie in the future, please drop us a comment in the lines below. For more fly fishing and outdoor related videos, be sure to subscribe to the AvidMax YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you out there.